As much as we love our Shenzhou general, we have to admit that this character has some fatal problems that hold his own potential to compete with the ever-changing meta in Star Rail. Jing Yuan fails to meet our expectations as he should have been a really strong character, at least in his lore. But in practice, there's a lot left to be desired. Despite the indirect buff through many updates, this unit performance is still somewhere in the bottom. So what's holding him back? What are his main problems? In this video, let's dive into it together and explore some potential improvements for him as well. Okay, why did he fail to meet the players' expectation? During the older days when he was about to be released, everyone was hyping so much about him. As being the general of Shenzhou Luofu and holds big authority over them, we were not wrong to expect that he is going to be really strong in the game as well. And maybe that's because he is supposed to be representing China, and thus they are going to make him overpowered as hell. I think that's why they did to their other games, such as Genshin Impact. Zhongli is the evidence of this. Not only because he is an Archon, but he also represents a region that is based on and took inspiration from China. This explains why he received a sudden buff just a couple of weeks after his release. From this, we can assume that they care so much about this type of character. But it turned out, Jing Yuan's situation was different. He was doing just fine a couple of weeks after his banner came, but not a few players found that this character has some problems. What are those? Jing Yuan is a Erudition Lightning unit that can obliterate multiple enemies in the battlefield, but he is not fighting on his own. His summon, named Lightning Lord, will help him to deal follow-up attack to the enemy. But as much as Lightning Lord looks so handy here, it's actually the other way around. Lightning Lord has a 60 base speed, which is really low, and initially has 3 hits per action by default. This explains why it has its own image in the action bar. Jing Yuan has the ability to further boost his own summon speed and increase the number of hits using some of his skills. He gets 2 stacks from his skill, 3 from technique, and 3 stacks from ultimate. Well, this looks like it won't be a problem at all, right? Because with the right team comps, for example using both Sparkle and Tinyon that can further boost Jing Yuan's action and ultimate energy respectively, make it possible for Lightning Lord to reach 10 stacks for each cycle, thus can deal a significant amount of damage output. But here, where we can find his first weakness. There's a time where the summon already gets full stacks and a maximum speed, but we still need to wait for the enemies to take action first before the Lightning Lord's turn. Unfortunately, Jing Yuan is not capable of letting his own summon to immediately take action or gain 100% advance forwards once it has 10 stacks. Neither does Lightning Lord that has 0 self-advance. Even none of his Eidolon can serve to tackle this issue. I think this is the root of all Jing Yuan's main concerns as a follow-up DPS character that can branch out into more problems for him. Because raw damage was never the cause of why Jing Yuan loses his potential. In fact, he can deal up to 660% follow-up attack, and 25% of the damage will be dealt to some enemies adjacent to the primary target. His signature light cone can actually be one of the best LCs for a Erudition character and has some great flexibility. This can further significantly boost Jing Yuan's damage output. But like I said before, his damage is great, but he is a very backloaded DPS. But technically, being a backloaded DPS actually is not that bad. Take Acheron for example. She's considered as one of the damage dealers that has huge nuke at the later stage. Because players need to stack her Slash Dream first to unlock her ultimate and unleash her main source of damage. Black Swan is the same as well. You need to stack up her Arcana with Dot, and then later will explode to deal a great amount of wind damage. But Jing Yuan has a special case. His follow-up attack from the Almighty Lightning Lord is considered as a bounce type of attack, which will hit the enemy randomly. So in multiple AoE target scenarios, his damage will not be contributed evenly and instead most effective when encountering a single enemy. It's funny because he is a Erudition unit that relies on follow-up attacks. I know his skill is AoE type, but its multiplier is not as high as his talent. Same goes for his ultimate as well. It's multi-target, but surely you cannot be relying on his ultimate at all the time for him to deal damage, right? But this should not have been an issue if Jing Yuan's Lightning Lord can deal damage oftenly. But sadly he can't do that. This case is resulted from his fundamental problem, which is the lack of self-advancement from his Lightning Lord when it reached full stacks. And one of the most popular drawbacks when using our Luofu general is crowd control. This is the true enemy of Jing Yuan. You guys, especially who mains him, must already know that you should have never met an enemy to crowd control him. Once Jing Yuan gets stunned, imprisoned, freezed, or any other heavy crowd control, Lightning Lord's action won't take a turn. His main source of damage is already extremely slow to begin with. Well, you can imagine the worst feeling you get when you find yourself in this situation. Sure, you can cleanse him out of his misery, but Lightning Lord here still won't move an inch, and thus you need to wait again. The thing is, Lightning Lord is a summon type, where it's a part of a certain character's kit but acts differently but somehow still connected to each other's action. Some characters that has a summon besides Jing Yuan are Topaz and Lingsha, but they are very fortunate because once Topaz, for example, got heavily crowd controlled, Nambi is still able to take her turn and causing no DPS loss. Same goes for Lingsha. I don't know why Jing Yuan didn't have the same treatment, maybe because he is an old unit. If a summon is supposed to act this way, then I guess they might as well change the Lightning Lord icon in the action bar with Jing Yuan's picture, since this is more like his delayed extra turn instead of summon. In addition, Jing Yuan cannot overcap his stacks. It is very unfortunate of him to be released early in the game, because after patch 2.0 and above, Aventurine and Jade are capable to overcharge their stacks, thus they both can reserve some points and make it easier to trigger their next follow-ups. This happened not only to him, but to Blade and Himiko as well, but at least they both can immediately do follow-ups once they reach maximum points, right? If Jing Yuan were not an old unit and released in this recent patch, I'm pretty sure he has a better overall kit. But wait, didn't he actually get an indirect or shadow buffs as more updates come? Are they still not enough to make him stronger and relevant again in the current meta? Well, let me elaborate you what are the things that's supposed to make Jing Yuan's performance better. First, at the earliest patch we have Lucha. He was known to be the best sustainer at that time since he offers easy access to party-wide heal and emergency healing. Moreover, he is very SP positive and can cleanse. This ability to remove debuff is very appreciated by Jing Yuan and of course other units. Not too long after that, Fusion was released and it turned out her kit was very beneficial for Jing Yuan even until now, as her metrics give additional crit rate for the whole team and her traits will negate any debuffs which includes hard CC. She was truly one of the best sustains for our King Yuan. Aside from sustain, Topaz's presence in the game further elevates Jing Yuan's damage output. Nambi's marking will increase enemy damage taken by follow-up attack up to 50%. Despite only works for one enemy, but still, it's another plus point for Jing Yuan, especially in single target scenario. And then Duke Inferno set is released and tailored to utilized by many follow-up units in the game. That is, of course, including Jing Yuan again. In fact, this set is his best relic up until now since he can maximize the 4-piece easily. After we reached the new planet, Sparkle came out. Aside Imbibitor, Jing Yuan also once again get his indirect buff from the added contents. Thanks to the Sparkle skill that can give 50% advance forward, and her trace that allows her crit damage boost to last longer so that Lightning Lord still get the benefit from this, unlike using Bronya, Jing Yuan is very happy. You know what, Jing Yuan team members get even more varied as Robin officially released, since their kit are both synergized very well. If you think these are the only buff that he gets, well, you are wrong. Because aside the relic, you can pair him with the Banana Amusement Park Planner, which gives more crit damage if someone is present on the battlefield, which is, in this case, Lightning Lord. So despite all the shadow buffs that he received up until now, are those still not sufficient to make him more relevant again? Unfortunately, that's not enough, at least in my own honest opinion. No matter how much crit damage, attack, or damage boost that you give to him, as well as giving him a high amount of speed, it won't shatter the root that causes all of this, since none of them will change of how often he's Lightning Lord to deal damage. So I guess he desperately needs a unit that can act as Bronya and Sparkle, but at the same time can make his summon to also gain immediate action. Well, I'm not referring to him, this is just a random footage of Sunday, don't get me wrong. But is there any hope for our beloved general to shine again in the near future? Rumor has it that we are really close to approaching a new meta, which is a summoner and a servant, and I wish we get to see Jing Yuan to be everybody's top priority again when clearing some of the endgame contents. So what are the possible improvements for him? Well, they could have made him able to overcharge his own stack, just like what they did to Jade and Aventurine, and reserve some of Lightning Lord's hits per action. This way, Jing Yuan will not having a hard time to restart again, and his summon will oftenly deal more damage to the enemy now. Furthermore, Jing Yuan could have been a better unit if only his summon action won't be affected once he is unable to take turns, due to being inflicted by a great crowd control. Of course, this matter will be solved by just removing and cleanse his debuff, but still, in the battlefield they both are separate entities, thus anything that occurs outside of Jing Yuan's kit should not affect each other's turn. Most importantly, Jing Yuan should be able to make his Lightning Lord to gain an immediate action right after it reaches full stacks. This results in a better and consistent damage output, and will also simultaneously tackle one of his problems concerning his multiple random hits, since his summon can now deal damage more often. But out of those improvements, this is basically the most realistic one, since they probably won't be giving their old units a sudden buff, like what Zhongli in Genshin Impact had received. All they need to do is just to release a unit like Bronya but for summon. Or maybe sometime later in the future it is also possible to release a summoner version of Robin that can give 100% action forward, including all of their summon. Either way, it's going to benefit Jing Yuan and make him great again. So I think those are the things that make Jing Yuan lose his spotlight. All the indirect buffs that occur will surely benefit him, but at the same time doesn't really cure his fundamental illness. All he needs now is someone that can improve how his Lightning Lord works, and hopefully when the time comes, King Yuan is actually gonna be the real king instead of a meme only. I need to remind you again that this video is just my personal opinion and some observations that I have made. You guys can totally disagree or even add some things that I missed in the comment section. I hope you enjoy this content, and if you do, please support Catboloni by hitting the like and subscribe button and share this to your friends. And I will see you soon.